Hey guys, what's up? It's munclesonkey. So in this video, I'm just going to be talking about kind of my review and opinions of the Araxxor boss and how it was released and all of that. During the background footage, you're just going to be seeing the closest I ever came to an Araxxor kill, at least on camera. I have only done 4 attempts of Araxxor, so I really have not done very much of it since making that Araxxor tips video that I made a couple days ago. So all in all, I've maybe tried Araxxor 7 or 8 times. I have not done very many attempts, and I've had a lot of my friends had to try to kill Araxxor at least 20 or 30 times before they got their first kill. So I'm not giving up yet, but I have really no desire to kill this boss at all, since it is just so incredibly frustrating to kill. And I figure I probably will not be going back to Araxxor unless it either becomes a viable way of making money, where the weapons stay high value and it becomes easy to kill due to new mechanics being discovered, or B, if it's completionist cape requirement. Other than that, I'm probably going to be avoiding this boss, not because it's beaten me, but just because I find it far too annoying to try to kill. I know there are people out there that are already getting to the point where they're good enough at Araxxor to be succeeding almost every kill, and cheers to them. They beat me at this boss. They are better than me, and I can admit that. However, I really would rather do other methods of PvM rather than this boss that I find much more enjoyable to do personally, and also Slay, which I really need to be getting back to. But the main thing I wanted to talk about with Araxxor and the main problems that I have with Araxxor are not related to the fight itself. I think the first 3 phases of Araxxor are completely perfect, nothing wrong with them. Phase 4, I don't think the dark core is necessary. There's this dark slimy core that comes out of the boss, chases after you very, very quickly, and hits you for like 2.5 to 3,000 damage if it goes on top of you. I'm not a big fan of this core because it requires, during the last 20,000, 30,000 HP that the boss has, that you both run around, use abilities to do damage to Araxxor, switch prayers, and also eat food all at the same time, which is kind of hard for 2 hands to pull off, since us humans were only blessed with 2 hands, unless you are some sort of strange mutant. Now, for people with ninja-like reflexes, I'm sure they're learning how to get past that and probably aren't having too much of a problem with it anymore, but for me, it's a little bit too much to ask and a little too stressful. So that phase 4 is the reason why I'm avoiding Araxxor, and I personally don't think the dark core was necessary. I think the boss was difficult enough without it, but whatever. It's also kept me from getting Araxxor kills, but I won't begrudge it too much for that, I guess. The main problem I have with Araxxor is its effect on other bosses, namely Kalphite King Ascension bosses and Virago, which I consider to be Runescape's or Jagex's greatest ever achievement when it comes to bossing. I think Virago was probably the boss that Jagex should be the most proud of, although it seems like they're preferring Araxxor at this point. And it really is a shame the effect that Araxxor is going to have on Virago. First of all, I don't think that Dragar weapons are going to be affected too much by Araxxor, considering how easy Dragar weapons are to obtain, how that dual wield melee is better than 2H melee because of the destroy threshold ability that dual wield gets access to and 2H does not. And I don't know if Araxxor is going to have a huge effect on Ascension bow prices. That remains to be seen. I could see these level 2H or level 92H weapons being in the 400 mil range, and if that was the case, it probably wouldn't affect the Ascension crossbows too much. But that is only something that time will tell. Who knows? Maybe the Ascension crossbows might go down to 100 mil each. That's very much an option. We'll see in the future. If it does crash Ascension crossbows, that's going to suck. But the main problem is Virago itself, which Jagex did spend a lot of development time on, and I thought it had an absolutely epic release where pretty much no one was able to kill the boss for, I think, almost the first 24 hours. I don't exactly remember, but I just remember for a long time no one could figure out how to kill that boss, and that was so epic watching live streams and everything of people figuring out how to do it. And then wands going all the way up to about 2.6 bill each, and Virago being absolutely epic money making, and now wands are hovering around the 600 to 650 mil each mark. So the last time I talked about this, the price of seismic wands being affected, a lot of people seem to get mad in the comments and saying the price of seismic wands was too overpowered as it is. But the problem with seismic wands is it takes at least 5 people to kill Virago. Usually when I go to Virago, it's in 6-man teams, but you can do it in 5. And it takes them 15 minutes to do it, and also the drop rate of seismic isn't super common, so even though the weapons are worth a lot, it takes days upon days, sometimes depending on your luck, of camping Virago to finally get that drop. And even though it was up to about a 200 mil split when the wand was 1.2 bill doing it in a 6-man team, it still took you like 3 days to get that split. And if you did like QBD in that same amount of time, you probably would have made 200 mil as well, or a boss like Calfight King or Nex. So if you put in that context, yes, the split you got from Virago was worth a lot, but it wasn't worth your time necessarily, because you could have made almost as good money, or perhaps even just as good money, doing other bosses that were much easier to do. But Virago, I will admit, is pretty fun for most of the rotations that it has, and I've always had an absolute blast doing it. So it is kind of a shame that it's probably going to be very, very, very difficult to find Virago teams in the future if wands are going to stay at the 600 mil price. Are they going to go up again? I have really no idea. I really hope they will, but only time will tell. The main crime in all of this is it would have been such an easy fix. I thought of two feasible options that probably would not make the level 90 weapons crash as much as they will when it comes to at least the seismic wand and singularity. Option one would have just to have the top of the staff, or whatever it takes, you know, Araxor drops the stick, whatever it takes to make it into a staff, have that piece drop from Virago. And same goes with the bow and sword when it comes to Ascension bosses and Calfight King. Not only would people be doing Virago, but it would also give people an incentive to go back to those previous bosses, because there would be a new high value drop from them, and people that don't like Araxor or find Araxor too difficult would be able to go to one of those other 3 bosses, get a new drop, and make some money. The other option that I thought of is the anti-farm mechanics that they currently have put in Araxor to try to stop the crash for level 90 weapons, particularly the seismics, isn't going to stop them from crashing. It's only going to delay the inevitable, and the reason why is because the drops are actually very, very common. So even though it takes a long time to get an Araxor kill, if you get good at it and you're passing all these kills, like yes, the boss gets harder after 10 kills, but still the drops are pretty common, because there's already a ton of friends that I've had that have gotten stick parts or multiple stick parts, and they haven't even done all that many kills. So the drops are quite common. Simple fix with this would just make the drops really, really rare. Yes, there wouldn't be a lot of level 92 H's in the game right away, but what's wrong with that? It helps, you know, the seismics and Ascension crossbows retain their value. And then since the stick itself from Araxor probably wouldn't be worth a ton, they could just do the same thing that they did with QED and make Araxor's regular drops be worth a lot of money. Have it drop a ton of Onyx bolts, or a ton of magic logs, or a ton of rune ore, whatever it takes. Just, you know, have the regular drops be worth a lot. Have Araxor be like 5-6 mil an hour profit if you're getting every kill and not failing, and there you go. Boom, new solo boss. It's decent money, it's difficult, it's challenging, it's got new drops, there's new level 90 weapons in the game, other bosses aren't devalued, the level 90 dual wield weapons aren't devalued, everyone wins. It just seems like if they had Jagex, and particularly Mod Chris L, had put more thought into potentially how they released this boss, and thought more about preserving the bosses that they had already released, rather than just saying screw it and releasing a new boss and everyone gets all hyped about it and new weapons, but really hurting themselves in the long run because they're killing Virago and probably not going to devalue Calfight King, but very potentially devaluing the Ascension bosses, which I also thought were an incredible update and very, very well implemented. Why ruin some of that, at least, with the new boss? You know, people are still going to do Virago, people are still going to do Ascension bosses, but let's be honest, they're not going to be nearly as good profit, and it's going to be hard to find a Virago team in the future. And for those people that really, really enjoyed Virago, like me, I didn't do a ton of it, but I had an absolute blast when I did do it. We just kind of missed out on a really epic boss in Virago, and what we get in return is a kind of frustrating boss with BS mechanics. And yes, you can learn how to fight Araxor, and yes, you can get good at it and succeed most kills, but Virago is a lot more fun, at least in my opinion, and it's also a solo boss. You don't get to go with friends unless you duo, I suppose. And a solo boss is just never going to be as much fun as a team boss, where you can go with a party of people and use teamwork together to kill it. But anyway, that's about all. I think Araxor, the boss fight itself, is fine, except for the Dark Core on Phase 4. We'll see if it gets nerfed. I doubt it, and I kind of hope they don't nerf it. But that's about all for this video, guys. So thanks for watching. I just really, really think Araxor should have been implemented differently, and there could have been some very, very easy fixes that they could have made. to not only, you know, help keep the dual wield level 90 weapons value, but also make other bosses even more fun to do, like Calfight King and Virago, you know, adding new drops to those. I thought that would have been so awesome if they did that, but they chose not to. So yeah, pretty much didn't quite get this kill. I won't be going back unless this becomes a comp cake requirement or unless some new mechanic to make it easy is found out. I have no interest in Araxxor. Good luck with all you guys who are killing Araxxor, though. Hopefully you get yourself one of those level 90 weapons and sell it for like 1 to 2 bill. I don't know how much they're worth, but they're worth a lot now. So if you get your hands on one and sell it and make a lot of profit, that's very good, and congrats.